Hi everyone, I'm Lois and welcome back to Still Figuring It Out. If you're new here, this channel is about starting over later in life, trying new things, and figuring out how to pay the bills for doing work that I actually enjoy. Today I want to share how I found all these different jobs, because if you did watch my last video, I shared what jobs I did last week and how much I made, and there was many different jobs. And if you didn't watch my last video, go watch it at the end of this and you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I want to share with you how I ended up with all these jobs, and it just wasn't some big grand plan. Life just happens. So my backstory is that for most of my career, I worked as a fashion designer in the garment industry. I worked for many different companies. I designed different age ranges, sizes, men's, women's, kids, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in between, I also had my own line. I wholesaled. I eventually had my own store. I was still designing a little bit for private clients, but anyway, for the most of my life, that was my career. That was what I did. So, I was in it to win it, loved every minute of it. It was a beautiful thing. It was my lifelong dream, and I did it. It was great. However, I had to step away and become a caregiver for my mother. So that lasted for a few years. Now, during that time, I could not work because I was commuting to her back and forth every day. I could just do a little bit of print-on-demand stuff, but in general, I couldn't really work. I couldn't really make money. And for that reason, I basically went through all of my savings. And when that time period came to an end and I had no money left, I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to find a job? Now, my last stint in the garment industry or the fashion industry or being a designer was working for myself. And going back, working for other people, I didn't think that would be an option as the industry has changed quite a bit. It's all technology now. It was not like that when I worked. Everything was, there were no computers doing stuff. It was just sketching and working with pattern makers and fabric people and factories, and I loved it. But it was completely different. And if I did want to go back, which I didn't, I basically would have to start over and learn and all these new things. And, I kind of felt like a dinosaur. But that's okay, because there are still people that, would value my talents. And like I said, I do have a couple of clients left over from when I had my store, but they are very few. So it's not really paying the bills. So I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get work? What can I do? Like, I didn't really know. So I just started looking and looking. I just started looking at all the job websites, and Craigslist, everything, everywhere. I just didn't know. That was all I knew how to do. Not that I don't have other talents, but that was my thing. So then I saw an ad on Craigslist, of all places, for a sewing instructor to teach kids. And I'm like, I could probably do that. The only problem is that I am an introvert. And the thought of standing in front of a classroom, in front of a bunch of kids, was terrifying. I was that kid in school that never raised their hand, hated being called on, would never stand in front of the class. I was mortified. However, I applied anyway. I had a great interview. I got hired. And I basically shadowed my boss at the first school. I still had no idea what I was doing, but then she gave me my own school. Basically, it was teaching sewing after school, going into different schools. I live in New York City. It's going to different schools, mostly private schools in New York City, and teaching sewing after school, hand sewing mostly, because schools do not have sewing machines. Anyway, it turned out I loved it. I love working with the kids. They're sponges. They just love to soak up all that creative energy. I just love seeing them just being creative and, slowing down. Kids today have such fast-paced lives. They've got so many things going on. Anyway, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And that opportunity just turned into so many other things. One of the things is somebody asked me if I could teach crochet. So I started teaching crochet classes after school, because I've been knitting and crocheting since I was little. Been doing all kinds of artsy things since I was a kid. That's my background. So through the sewing, I met another instructor who shared my love of making things. We became friends. Like, we hit it off. We just were like, we have similar, not so much backgrounds. We're much different age-wise, but we were just very similar lifestyles, similar beliefs. Anyway, we were great. We hit it off, and we started teaching creative workshops for adults. And we crochet, embroidery, and other creative hobbies. Most of the workshops are held in bars, that type of, coffee shops. And they're so much fun. People coming together to learn something new, meet new friends, be creative, and just enjoy an evening together. I've watched so many of these people that meet up at these things become friends. And I've actually become friends with some of the people that have come to our workshops. It's been incredible. Anyway, so then after that, like I said, somebody asked me if I could teach crochet, and then they said, could you teach a STEM class? Sure, why not? I love learning new things. I could figure out, if I'm teaching little kids, how difficult could it be, right? Anyway, so I went on doing that, and it's just all these things. You just never know where something's going to lead. I never thought I would like teaching. I always liked helping people. So I guess in looking back, it's kind of a natural progression. So if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't even have to know where you're going. Sometimes you just have to say yes to the next opportunity, or you just have to be open to the opportunity. I have this thing that I'm a very positive person, and my thing is, like, every day when you wake up, you have a chance to be happy or be sad, and I choose to be happy. And I choose to think of life as a big adventure, and you never know where the road's going to take you. And this took me, what I'm doing is still related to fashion. I'm teaching sewing. I do private lessons for adults, teaching them sewing. With sewing machines. It's not all hand sewing, but you just never know what's going to change your life and where it's going to take you. And this is just really kind of morphed into all these things. And then, I also do cat sitting, if you saw my last video, and that just evolved actually out of my local Buy Nothing group. Somebody was looking for a cat sitter, and I'm like, I have a cat. I love cats. I've had cats my whole life. I could do it. And it turns out it worked out great. They're a regular client. They have these two beautiful little kitties, and it was just such an enjoyable experience. And I also do print on demand. I've been drawing and painting. Well, I don't really paint anymore, but when I was younger, I painted. So doing kind of like a graphic design, surface design for print on demand, was a natural fit. I like to draw on my iPad. I create cat cartoons. I create like all over print patterns. So I do a lot of print on demand on different sites, which, if you guys want to know about print on demand sites and which ones I recommend you sell on, I'm more than happy to do a video about that. Just let me know in the comments what you want to hear, what you want to know about. I want to help you. I want everybody to help everybody. I want to hear suggestions. What do you want to know? I'm sure a lot of you, I talked about being a caregiver for my mom. I'm sure a lot of you have gone through that, where you just had to step away from your life and take care of somebody. You have family issues to deal with. And for me, it was, it was tough, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that's what you do. So that's it. Really, I have all these jobs. I still don't know if it's going to work out at the end of the month, if all the jigsaw pieces are going to fit together and I'm going to have enough money to pay my rent. But I'm still doing it. I'm still figuring it out. And that's what this channel is all about. I'm still figuring it out. If you're still figuring it out, please feel free to join me on this journey. I mean, let me know in the comments. Did you ever find a job that really scared you and you were afraid, but then you figured it turned out you loved it? Because you never know what you're gonna like. You never know where life's gonna lead you. And I want to talk about like your skills. Like, I was looking at all the jobs and just saying like, what could I do? Like, because I only had a career as a fashion designer. That's what I learned in school. That was my degree. I didn't know what else I was qualified to do. And by a lot of jobs, I wasn't qualified to do a lot of other things because you need a degree in this and a degree in that. But sometimes you have to look at the skills and maybe like, teaching, private teaching, consulting, maybe that's the way to go depending on the type of person you are. But everybody has skills that they don't even realize that they have. As I said in my last video or my other video, is that you only have to be better than the person you're teaching. You don't have to be an expert. I helped somebody set up their Poshmark shop. I'm good at that because I sell online. I sell on Poshmark. I sell on eBay. I do online, like I said, I could do a whole other video about all the online stuff I do. But you just never know. So anyway, that's kind of how I found all my jobs. It just started with one job on Craigslist, and it just turned into all these other things, and then opportunities through my Buy Nothing group. You just have to be open to the possibilities, because we're all just figuring it out. I mean, I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know how long this is going to last, what I'm going to be doing, if it's going to morph into something else. I don't know, but I'm open to the possibilities. So if you're still figuring it out, please join me on my journey. Feel free to share this video with somebody that you may know who's still figuring it out. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm 65. So, I'm in that age where, I really do need to make money, because retirement, what is that about? But you could be any age if you're still figuring it out. You could be in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Please join me. If you're still figuring it out, let's figure it out together. Anyway, please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.